Hi there, football fans. Welcome to Goalside once again. Andrea Pirlo is a very special player in modern football. He was a symbol of elegance amongst beasts, and the last example of a dying breed of deep-lying playmakers. He was born in the north of Italy in a little town called Fiero, outside of Brescia. His upbringing involved playing a ton of football on the streets, where he first learned how to fight off stronger and bigger boys. It took 15 years for the regional giant Brescia to notice him, so Pirlo joined them in 1994, featuring for the youth team in the beginning. However, already in 1995, Pirlo made an appearance for the senior team at just 16, thus becoming a youngest ever debutant for Brescia in a match against Reggiana. This is especially impressive and acknowledgeable of his talent due to the fact that Italians are traditionally reluctant to provide players under 20 years of age with opportunity, let alone a 16-year-old. However, Pirlo first established himself in the 1996-97 season when Brescia were playing in Serie B, which forced them to release some expensive players and rely on their youth, including Pirlo. The fiery Italian showcased his talent immediately, making regular first-team appearances as Brescia won the Serie B league title, making the promotion to the first division of Italian football. In the meantime, his former manager from when Pirlo debuted in Brescia, Mircea Lucescu, took charge of Inter. As soon as Pirlo proved his worth in the Serie B, Lucescu reacted and brought the midfielder to Inter. He had some issues adapting there, so Nerazzurri decided to loan him out to Regina, where he had a great season playing in his usual position, an attacking midfielder. However, the return to Inter didn't bring him any benefits, because Pirlo was once again an outside, unable to break into the first team. But then a crucial moment in his career happened. Inter decided to loan him out to his hometown team, Brescia. Roberto Baggio was playing there, and Pirlo knew he'd get his playtime in his home club. Brescia's manager at the time, Carlo Mazzone, made a crucial decision where he saw what nobody else did. He put Pirlo as the defensive midfielder where the Italian could act as a deep-lying playmaker. And that's where it all started. He was electric, delivering team passes from the back with a spectacular range of passing as he sent pinpoint long balls for his attackers, including Baggio. Brescia ended up 7th on the Pirlo's wings, and a big career was ahead of the youngster. AC Milan took notice of Pirlo, and they wanted to buy him out. Even though Inter were city rivals, the Nerazzurri didn't make a fuss about it, easily giving up on their midfielder after Rossoneri paid a fee of around $17 million. This happened in 2000 when Fatih Terim was the boss in Milan. However, Carlo Ancelotti inherited the Turkish manager soon after, and he immediately spotted his new signing's talent, so he deployed Pirlo in the heart of the midfield. Pirlo later recalled his period with Ancelotti. "He changed my career, putting me in front of the defense. We shared some unforgettable moments. We had a magnificent pass together. He's the coach with I've spent more years, and the most important of all, he is a fantastic person, just like a second father to me." Pirlo's role in that Milan team was amazingly important. They won the Champions League in 2002 and 3 when they beat their arch-rivals Juventus in the final on penalties. Pirlo used to orchestrate the team from the back, with Gennaro Gattuso watching his back and doing the dirty work for him. There were a ton of world-class players in that Milan team: Paolo Maldini and Alessandro Nesta at the back, Cafu running down the flank, and strikers like Shevchenko and Crespo as the strikers in the team. Clarence Seedorf was another important addition, forming a perfect midfield alongside Pirlo and Gattuso, and it's no coincidence that Seedorf is the only man to have won the Champions League with 3 different teams. Pirlo's Milan also won Serie A in the 2003 and 4 season, combining it with the Italian Cup and thus conquering all major trophies in his stint at the club. However, that's also when the downfall started. The team was slowly aging, with some major players closing to the twilight of their careers. Pirlo and Kaká were, however, the young force of a strong Milan side when Rossoneri reached the Champions League final in 2005. But then, tragedy struck. Leading 3-0 against Liverpool against halftime, Milan had it all. Pirlo and his teammates were on their way to winning the second Champions League trophy in just 3 years, making a historic dynasty. However, the iconic Istanbul finally entered the history books with Milan on the wrong end of things, as they conceded 3 goals in the second half, only to lose on a penalty shootout. It was one of the most difficult moments in Pirlo's career. I thought about quitting because after Istanbul, nothing made sense anymore. The 2005 Champions League final simply suffocated me. We'd invented a new disease with multiple symptoms: Istanbul syndrome. I no longer felt like a player, and that was devastating enough. But even worse, I no longer felt like a man. Even though it was such a difficult moment, Pirlo dusted himself off and prepared for the next season, where Milan ended just behind Juventus in Serie A. Although Calciopoli happened later on, taking away Juve's league title. Milan were still a powerhouse in the Champions League, but they ran into a Ronaldinho-led Barcelona at its peak in 2006, and there was no stopping the Catalans. Then, the 2006 World Cup arrived. The nation relied on Pirlo after he was the key man in the qualifiers, scoring 2 stunning free kicks in a single match against Scotland. The tournament started perfectly for the midfielder. Pirlo scored and assisted in the opening match of the World Cup against Ghana as Italy slid to a 2-0 win. The biggest test for the Italians didn't arrive until the semis, and that's when Pirlo shone like never before. He dominated the match, assisting Fabio Grasso's opening goal of the match as Italy beat Germany 2-0, thus qualifying to the finals where Zidane-led France was waiting for them. Unlike his teammates who felt all the pressure of the world on their backs ahead of the final, Pirlo was having none of it. It was like a Sunday kickabout for him, as he confessed years later. "I don't give a toss about pressure. I spent the afternoon sleeping and playing PlayStation. Then I went out and won the World Cup." The final, however, wasn't relaxing. It was 1-1 and the match went to penalties after Zidane's famous red card after headbutting Marco Materazzi. Approaching the ball, Pirlo looked as calm as ever as he took the opening penalty for his team. Of course, he scored it and helped his team win the shootout, achieving the World Cup triumph that all players dream of throughout the years. Pirlo was named in the World Cup team of the tournament, and he ended as the 3rd best player, too. After he returned home, everyone at San Siro knew that the European trophy was destined for the club. The 2006-07 season saw Pirlo completely take over the team as the ultimate leader, as the midfielder was a key part in Milan's Champions League winning season, as they beat none other than Liverpool in the final, thus healing their wounds from 2 years earlier. The seasons after weren't as successful, especially with Kaká leaving the club in 2009 to join Real Madrid. However, AC Milan did manage to win the Scudetto in the 2010-11 season, with Zlatan Ibrahimovic connecting perfectly with Pirlo to dominate the league that season. But after the season ended, the midfielder shocked Italy by moving to Juventus on a free transfer after his contract with the Rossoneri expired. Everyone in Turin was overjoyed with signing such a world-class player, none more than his national teammate Gianluigi Buffon himself. When Andrea told me that he was joining us, the first thing I thought was, God exists! A player of his level and ability, not to mention that he was free? I think it was the signing of the century. Even though there was so much excitement at Juve, they thought Pirlo was finished in Milan as he was a 32-year-old at the time. But Pirlo proved them wrong. Very wrong. Immediately after joining Juventus, he was a centerpiece of the league-winning Juve side who took over the crown for his former team AC Milan. Not only was he a regular starter, but he was also heart and soul of the team. Only Javi Hernandez completed more passes in Europe that season than Pirlo. He was also a part of Serie A's team of the season, forming an unstoppable midfield pairing with the energetic Arturo Vidal, reminiscing his days from Milan when he used to dominate with Gattuso alongside him. The individual awards didn't stop coming. The Ballon d'Or nomination, the Serie A Player of the Year award for 2012, everyone recognized Pirlo's genius, and they were kicking themselves in the head at Milan, losing a player like him for free. The season went by at Juve, and Pirlo confirmed himself as one of the best Italian players of all time, aging like fine wine and delivering perfect balls from deep, not missing a beat in his approach. Juve reached the Champions League final in 2015 after knocking out Real Madrid in the semifinals, with Barcelona waiting in the final. It was a year when Massimiliano Allegri composed the trio midfield of Paul Pogba, Arturo Vidal, and Andrea Pirlo. The three of them had it all, and they were really a perfect mixture of technique, ferocity, strength, and talent. However, they fell to Messi, Suarez, and Neymar as Barca beat them 3-1 in the final. Pirlo realized that it was time to go. He asked for a move to the MLS, which Juve granted, and the midfielder joined New York City in 2015. He spent a couple of years there before finally retiring in 2017 and leaving the legacy of a giant behind him after loads of successes he's seen in his career. Andrea Pirlo remains one of the symbols of the 21st century football as he completely changed the meaning of a defensive midfielder, proving that they can play as masters of the ball rather than just destructive strongmen. Not only that, but Pirlo also holds a reputation as one of the coolest footballers ever, as he seemingly never felt pressured on the pitch, no matter how many opponents were around him or what the circumstances of the situation were like. A model professional and an example for generations to come, Pirlo is one of a kind, and it'll be a long time before we see a player like him again, especially in modern football where the artists seem to be lost.